The gym echoed with the sharp squeak of sneakers as Sydney hurled the basketball toward the hoop, missing wildly, her mother's furious shout cutting through the air like a whip. "Damn it, Sydney, you're throwing away your legacy." Tears stinging her eyes, Sydney bolted from the court, her heart pounding not from exertion but from the secret she could no longer hide, the graceful pull of pirouettes that had stolen her soul. In the dim alley outside, she collapsed against the wall, whispering to herself, "I can't be what you want, Mom. Not when I've fallen for her, and for the dance that sets me free." Sydney had always lived in the shadow of her mother's glory. Coach Riley Thompson was a legend in women's basketball, a three-time Olympic gold medalist turned head coach at UCLA, where her teams dominated the NCAA championships. Growing up in Los Angeles, Sydney was groomed from the cradle to follow in those oversized footsteps. By age 10, she was dribbling like a pro, her small hands mastering crossovers and fadeaways under Riley's unyielding gaze. "You're a Thompson," Riley would say, her voice booming with pride and expectation. "We don't quit. We conquer." But Sydney's heart whispered a different rhythm. It started innocently enough, during a school field trip to the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. While her classmates fidgeted through the ballet performance, Sydney was transfixed. The dancers glided across the stage like whispers of wind, their bodies telling stories without words. That night, she dreamed of tutus and spotlights, not jerseys and buzzers. By high school, the secret lessons began. Stolen hours at a community center in Echo Park, where the air smelled of sweat and rosin, far from her mother's prying eyes. Senior year brought the breaking point. Riley had secured Sydney a full-ride scholarship to UCLA, scouts buzzing about her potential. "You'll be the next big thing," Riley beamed at family dinners, her wife Linda nodding supportively. Linda, a soft-spoken therapist, had married Riley after years of quiet advocacy for LGBTQ+ rights in sports. Their home was a haven of progressivism. Rainbow flags in the yard, pride parades attended as a family. Yet, when it came to Sydney's future, Riley's vision was ironclad. Basketball or bust. Sydney's escape was Jamie Ruiz, the fiery instructor at the ballet studio. Jamie was everything Sydney wasn't. Bold, unapologetic, with tattoos peeking from under her leotard and a laugh that filled the room like sunlight. Born in Brooklyn but transplanted to LA for dance, Jamie had clawed her way through auditions, her Puerto Rican heritage fueling a passion that burned bright. They met during Sydney's first advanced class, Jamie correcting her posture with gentle hands that lingered just a second too long. "You're holding back," Jamie said one evening as the studio emptied. The mirrors reflected their flushed faces, the city lights twinkling outside like distant stars. "Ballet isn't about perfection, it's about feeling." Sydney swallowed, her pulse racing. "I feel too much, maybe." Their conversation stretched late into the night, spilling onto the studio's rooftop. Jamie shared stories of her own rebellion, leaving a conservative family for the stage, coming out at 16 amid tears and slammed doors. "Love doesn't ask permission," she said, her dark eyes locking onto Sydney's. "It just happens." It happened slowly, then all at once. A brush of fingers during a pas de deux. A shared coffee that turned into a walk along Venice Beach. Waves crashing as confessions tumbled out. "I'm supposed to be an athlete," Sydney admitted, sand between her toes. "But here with you I feel alive." Jamie's kiss was tentative at first, then urgent, the ocean's roar drowning out Sydney's doubts. For weeks they stole moments, rehearsals blending into dates, bodies sinking in dance and desire. Sydney's grades slipped, her basketball practices became mechanical. Riley noticed the distance, her coaching sessions turning tense. "What's going on with you?" she demanded after a botched drill. "Nothing, Mom. Just senior stress." But lies have a way of unraveling. One afternoon, Linda found Sydney's ballet slippers hidden in her closet. "Honey," she said softly, sitting on the bed, "you can talk to me." Sydney broke then, words flooding out about the dance, about Jamie. Linda hugged her tight. "Your mom loves you. She'll understand." Riley didn't. The confrontation exploded in the living room, trophies gleaming mockingly on the shelves. "Ballet? That's not a career. That's a hobby." Riley roared. "I've sacrificed everything for you to have this shot." It's not about the shot, Mom. It's about me. Sydney yelled back, tears streaming. I love it. And I love someone in it. The admission hung heavy. Riley's face paled. Someone? A girl. Yes. Jamie. Silence stretched, then shattered. This is a phase. You're confused because of the pressure. Focus on basketball. It's who you are. Sydney stormed out, seeking solace in Jamie's arms. That night, under the Hollywood sign, they whispered promises. We'll make it work, Jamie said. Your mom's just scared. But fear breeds conflict. Riley, in her desperation, reached out to old contacts, scouts, trainers, to ramp up Sydney's schedule. She even confided in her assistant coach, Mark, who leaked the story to a sports blog. Coach Thompson's daughter ditching hoops for tutus? The post went viral, paparazzi hounding Sydney at school. Jamie stood by her, but cracks formed. This is messing with my auditions, she admitted one night, exhaustion in her voice. The drama, it's too much. Sydney's heart ached. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. High school culminated in the state basketball finals. Riley pushed Sydney to play, her spot on the team hanging by a thread. But on game day, Sydney chose the studio instead. A recital where Jamie was starring. As the curtain rose, Sydney watched from the wings, her decision crystallizing. The performance was magical, Jamie's leaps defying gravity. Afterward, in the dressing room, Sydney pulled her close. I choose this. I choose you. But Riley arrived unannounced, her face thunderous. Sydney, get in the car. Now. The standoff drew stares. No, Mom. I'm done pretending. Riley's voice cracked. You're throwing it all away for her. For me, Sydney corrected. And yes, for her. Riley left in a huff, the door slamming like a final buzzer. That night, Sydney crashed at Jamie's tiny apartment in Silver Lake, their bodies entwined in quiet comfort. But doubt lingered. Had she burned every bridge? The fallout rippled through the summer like aftershocks. Riley barely spoke to Sydney, their home a battlefield of cold shoulders and clipped words. Linda mediated, her therapy background a lifeline. Give her time, she urged Sydney over breakfast. Your mom's pride is wounded, but she loves you. Sydney nodded, but the ache persisted. She deferred her UCLA acceptance, enrolling instead in a dance program at NYU. A bold move to New York, the heart of ballet. Jamie was thrilled. She'd landed a spot in a contemporary company there. We'll conquer the city together, she said, packing boxes with infectious energy. The move was a whirlwind. From LA's sprawl to Manhattan's frenzy, Sydney felt reborn. Their shoebox apartment in the East Village buzzed with life. Rehearsals spilling into late-night talks, bodies aching from class but spirits soaring. Jamie introduced Sydney to her world. Underground performances in Brooklyn lofts, pride events in Greenwich Village where rainbow flags waved like victory banners. But distance didn't heal the rift with Riley. Phone calls were terse, emails unanswered. When Sydney came out publicly on social media, posting a photo with Jamie at Central Park, the comments exploded. Support from strangers mingled with vitriol from sports fans. Traitor to the family legacy, one read. Riley's silence stung deepest. College began with intensity. Sydney's classes at Tisch School of the Arts challenged her technique, composition, history. She struggled at first, her athletic build clashing with ballet's delicacy. You're strong, but you need grace, her instructor barked. Jamie helped, their private sessions blending correction with caresses. One evening, after a grueling rehearsal, Jamie collapsed on the couch. I got a call back for Swan Lake, the corps de ballet. Sydney squealed, pulling her into a hug. That's huge. You're going to kill it. But success bred envy. In the competitive dance world, whispers followed them. She's only here because of her mom's connections, some said of Sydney, ignoring her talent. Jamie defended her fiercely, but tension simmered. The first crack appeared during midterms. Sydney bombed an audition, her nerves frayed from a late-night argument with Riley over the phone. Why can't you just be happy for me? Sydney had pleaded. Because you're wasting your potential. Riley shot back. Jamie found Sydney crying in the bathroom. Hey mi amor, talk to me. It's my mom. She thinks this is all a mistake. Jamie sighed. Maybe she's right about one thing you're torn. Dance or family? Sydney recoiled. You think I'm not committed? I didn't say that. But this drama. It's exhausting. The words hung, unspoken resentments bubbling. They made up with apologies and kisses, but seeds of doubt were planted. Winter brought a storm, literally and figuratively. A nor'easter blanketed the city, canceling classes. Holed up, they binged movies, but Jamie's phone buzzed incessantly. It's the director, she explained. Rehearsal notes. Sydney peeked once, seeing flirty emojis from a castmate named Sophia. Who's that? Just a friend. Jealous. A little. Jamie laughed it off, but Sydney's insecurity grew. Sophia was everything Jamie admired. Elegant, experienced, openly queer in a way that turned heads. The betrayal came subtly. Jamie started staying late at rehearsals, coming home smelling of someone else's perfume. Sydney confronted her after finding a text. Last night was amazing. Can't wait for more. Jamie's face crumpled. It was a mistake. Sophia. She gets the pressure. You don't understand anymore. Don't understand? I've given up everything for this, for us. Tears flowed. I'm sorry, Sydney. I love you, but the stress. It's breaking me. They parted in anguish, Jamie moving to a friend's couch. Sydney wandered the snowy streets, heart shattered. She called Linda, sobbing. I lost her. And Mom hates me. She doesn't hate you, Linda soothed. Come home for Christmas. Let's talk. The flight back to LA was torturous. Riley picked her up at LAX, her expression guarded. Welcome home. Dinner was awkward, but as gifts were exchanged, Riley handed Sydney a small box. Inside, a pair of vintage ballet slippers. I watched some videos of you dancing. You're good, kid. Sydney's eyes widened. Mom. I was wrong. I pushed too hard. Seeing you happy. That's what matters. They hugged, tears mingling. But Jamie's absence loomed. Back in New York, Sydney threw herself into dance, channeling pain into performance. Spring editions loomed. Sydney prepared for a solo piece, inspired by her journey. Jamie reached out tentatively. Heard about your showcase. Break a leg. The night arrived, the theater packed. As Sydney took the stage, she spotted Jamie in the audience, eyes shining. Her dance was raw leaps of defiance, turns of longing. Applause thundered. Backstage, Jamie waited. That was you. All of you. I've missed you, Sydney whispered. Me too. Can we try again? They did cautiously. But old wounds festered. Sophia lingered in Jamie's circle. A constant reminder. The high came at a gala fundraiser. Sydney's piece won acclaim. Scouts offering spots in companies. Riley flew in beaming. Proud of you, superstar. But drama peaked when Jamie confessed. I kissed Sophia again. I'm confused. Sydney's world tilted. Why? The pressure, your family's shadow, my career. I need space. Heartbroken, Sydney fled to the rooftop, wind whipping her hair. Below, the city pulsed, indifferent. Solitude became Sydney's companion in the months that followed. She buried herself in dance, her body a vessel for unspoken grief. Classes at Tisch blurred into rehearsals, her instructors praising the newfound depth in her movements. There's fire in you now, one said. But fire burns, and Sydney felt scorched. Riley's support grew, tentative calls into visits. She rented an Airbnb in Chelsea, cooking family recipes that filled the apartment with warmth. I should have seen it sooner, she admitted over pasta. My dreams weren't yours. Sydney nodded, but resentment lingered. You made me feel like a failure. I know. And I'm sorry. Linda's helping me unpack that, my own fears of irrelevance. Their talks peeled layers, revealing Riley's backstory. A closeted athlete in the 90s, marrying Linda after years of hiding. I wanted you to have the strength I built through sports. But love, that's the real strength. News of Jamie trickled in via mutual friends. She joined a touring company, Sophia by her side. Sydney scrolled social media obsessively, each photo a dagger. Happy for her, she lied to herself. A turning point came via an unexpected ally, Mark, Riley's former assistant who'd leaked the story. He reached out via email, apologetic. I was wrong. Jealous of your mom's focus on you. Let me make it right. I've got connections in dance media. Skeptical, Sydney met him at a coffee shop in Soho. Mark, now a freelance writer, pitched a feature. From Court to Stage, a Thompson's True Calling. It could humanize your story, he said. Sydney agreed, the interview raw and cathartic. Published in Dance magazine, it went viral. Praise for her courage, calls for inclusivity in sports and arts. Riley commented publicly, "My daughter's the real champion." Empowered, Sydney auditioned for a lead in an off-Broadway production. A modern retelling of Romeo and Juliet, with queer leads. She landed it, her role a defiant lover fighting family expectations. Rehearsals were grueling but fulfilling. Her co-star Elena, a seasoned dancer from Chicago, became a confidant. "Heard about your ex," Elena said during a break. "Sounds messy." "Understatement," Sydney laughed bitterly. Elena's empathy turned flirtatious. Shared lunches, lingering glances. But Sydney held back, scars fresh. Opening night electrified. The theater buzzed, Riley and Linda in the front row. As Sydney danced her solo, pouring heartache into every extension, the audience gasped. Curtain call brought standing ovations. Backstage, a surprise, Jamie bouquet in hand. "You were incredible." Sydney's heart raced. "What are you doing here?" "I left the tour." "Sophia. It wasn't real." "You are." Hope flickered but caution won. "You hurt me, Jamie." "I know. Can we talk?" They walked to a nearby diner, neon lights casting glows on their faces. Jamie confessed. "The betrayal was my fear manifesting. Your world felt too big, famous mom expectations. I sabotaged us." Sydney listened, tears welling. "I forgave my mom. Maybe I can forgive you." Reconciliation was slow. Dates rekindled old sparks. Therapy sessions unpacking trust. Riley met Jamie over video, awkward but genuine. "Take care of her," she said. But drama resurfaced. The production's director, facing budget cuts, demanded changes, toning down queer elements for broader appeal. "It's business," he shrugged. Sydney refused. "This story is about us, unapologetic." Castmates rallied, but the director fired her. Headlines screamed, "Thompson daughter ousted from show for radical stance." Public outcry followed, petitions, protests outside the theater. Riley used her platform, tweeting, "Proud of Sydney for standing up. Art should reflect life, not hide it." The backlash forced reinstatement, the show evolving into a hit. Sydney's performance deepened, infused with real defiance. Summer brought a family reunion in LA. Jamie joined, nervous. At a beach barbecue, Riley pulled her aside. "You make her happy. That's all I need." Jamie smiled. "She's my world." Yet undercurrents stirred. Elena confessed feelings during a cast party. "I know you're with Jamie, but if things change." Sydney declined gently. "I'm committed." But whispers reached Jamie. Cast gossip twisting innocence into intrigue. "Is there something with Elena?" she asked, voice trembling. "No. It's nothing." Trust frayed again. An argument exploded. "You always doubt me." "Because you left me once," Jamie yelled. They separated briefly, Sydney crashing with friends. Reflection hit hard, patterns of pain repeating. In therapy, Sydney unpacked. "I need to heal myself first." Riley flew in, offering wisdom. "Love isn't perfect. It's persistent." Sydney reached out to Jamie. "Let's fight for this." They did, vows renewed in a quiet ceremony at Prospect Park, friends witnessing their commitment. But life's twists continued. Riley's health scare, a minor heart episode, brought perspective. Hospital visits mended bonds fully. "Don't waste time on grudges," Riley whispered. Sydney's career soared. A national tour offer. Jamie joined as choreographer's assistant. The tour was a whirlwind of cities. Chicago's windswept stages, Miami's humid nights, Seattle's rainy rehearsals. Sydney and Jamie navigated it together, their relationship an anchor amid chaos. Mornings began with coffee in hotel rooms, evenings with debriefs over takeout. "We're building something real," Jamie said, tracing patterns on Sydney's back. But fame's shadow loomed. The dance magazine feature spawned a documentary pitch, Legacy in Motion, chronicling Sydney's shift from sports to stage. Producers hounded her, Riley's involvement adding weight. It could inspire kids, Riley urged during a call from LA. Sydney hesitated. It feels invasive. Jamie agreed. Your story's yours to tell. They declined initially, but pressure mounted. A rival dancer, bitter from auditions, leaked old texts, intimate messages from Sydney's early days with Jamie. Tabloids twisted them. Thompson's scandalous affair derails family dynasty. Riley raged, suing for privacy. But damage was done. Online trolls targeted Jamie's heritage, Sydney's sexuality. Go back to basketball, Dyke, one messaged. The hate storm tested them. Jamie withdrew rehearsals suffering. I feel exposed, she admitted. Sydney held her. We're stronger than this. Support poured in, LGBTQ+ organizations rallied, hashtags trending dance with pride. Riley spoke at a press conference. My daughter's love is her business. Back off. The documentary pivoted to empowerment, Sydney agreeing on her terms. Filming unearthed emotions, interviews with Linda revealing family dynamics, Jamie sharing her journey. Mid-tour in Denver, crisis struck. Jamie twisted her ankle during a lift, sidelining her. This is my fault, she fretted from there. Pushing too hard. Sydney nursed her, roles reversing. We've got this. Recovery was slow, Jamie's frustration boiling. I feel useless. You're everything, Sydney countered. Intimacy deepened in vulnerability. Quiet nights reading poetry, dreaming of futures. Marriage someday, Jamie mused. Sydney smiled. When we're ready. Back in New York post-tour they nested. A bigger apartment in Harlem, walls adorned with mementos. Sydney taught workshops, empowering young queer dancers. Your path is yours, she told them. Riley visited often, her coaching mellowed by retirement whispers. You've taught me more than I taught you. A collaboration brewed. A charity event blending sports and dance. Athletes learning ballet basics, proceeds for LGBTQ+ youth. Rehearsals were joyous, Riley awkwardly attempting plies. Laughter echoed, bonds strengthening. But betrayal lurked. Mark, the redeemed leaker, approached with a book deal. Insider's view on the Thompsons. He included unauthorized details, Riley's closeted past, Sydney's breakup pain. Sydney discovered via a galley copy. How could you? Mark shrugged. It's the truth. Sells books. Fury ignited. Riley confronted him, friendship severed. You betrayed us twice. The book released amid scandal, but Sydney countered with her own essay in the New York Times. Reclaiming my narrative. It humanized the pain, turning tide. Jamie's support was unwavering. You're a warrior. Their love, tempered by trials, blossomed. A proposal came spontaneously. On a ferry to Staten Island, sunset painting the sky. Marry me? Sydney asked, ring from her grandmother. Jamie teared up. Yes. Wedding planning intertwined with careers. Riley walked Sydney down the aisle in a Brooklyn garden, Linda beaming. Vows echoed. Through betrayal and triumph I choose you. Honeymoon in Hawaii brought peace. Waves lapping, bodies resting. Back home a surprise. Adoption discussions. A family of our own, Jamie said. Riley gifted a nursery setup. Grandma duties await. But life isn't fairy tales. A career crossroads hit. Sydney offered a Broadway lead. Jamie a European residency. Go, Sydney encouraged. We'll make long distance work. Separation tested, but technology bridged gaps. Video calls, surprise visits. Jamie's return coincided with Sydney's opening night. Success celebrated, but exhaustion crept. A health scare for Linda united them. Breast cancer diagnosis. Family rallied, treatments grueling. Through chemo, Linda's wisdom shone. Love fiercely. Forgive freely. Remission brought joy, a renewed vow to cherish time. Sydney and Jamie started a foundation. Scholarships for queer artists in sports and dance. Years blurred, their story inspiring documentaries, books. In quiet moments, Sydney reflected. From expected athlete to authentic self, the journey was worth every tear. Decades later, Sydney stood on the stage of the Kennedy Center, accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award for contributions to dance and advocacy. Her hair streaked with silver, but her posture remained elegant, a testament to years of discipline. Jamie sat in the front row, their adopted daughter Mia, now a teenager, beside her, clapping wildly. Riley, frail but fierce at 80, wheeled in by Linda, beamed with pride. The speech was heartfelt. I was born into expectations, but I danced into freedom. To my mother who taught me strength, to my wife who showed me love, to all who dare to defy, keep moving. Applause thundered, echoes of a life well lived. Flashback to the early days post-wedding. Challenges persisted. Mia's adoption from foster care brought joy and trials, navigating biases as queer parents. Why two moms? Kids taunted at school. Sydney and Jamie armed her with stories. Love makes a family. Riley doted, teaching Mia basketball basics, but encouraging her piano passion. No pressure, kiddo. Be you. Conflicts arose. Mia's teenage rebellion echoing Sydney's. I don't want dance or sports, she declared, slamming doors. Patience prevailed, therapy bridging gaps. We're in this together, Jamie said. Professionally, Sydney choreographed hits. Jamie directed companies. Their foundation grew, funding programs nationwide. A late betrayal surfaced. A former colleague accused Sydney of favoritism in grants. Investigations cleared her, but reputational scars lingered. Jamie's response: truth wins. Aging brought introspection. Riley's passing was peaceful, surrounded by family. Her last words to Sydney: you made me proud. All of you. Grief bonded them closer. Linda moved in, her stories filling evenings. Mia pursued journalism, exposing inequalities in arts and sports. Inspired by you too, she said at graduation. Grandchildren arrived. Mia's kids calling Sydney and Jamie abuela and nana. Holidays in LA blended traditions. Puerto Rican pastels with Thompson barbecues. In twilight years, Sydney and Jamie retired to a cottage in upstate New York, gardens blooming. Mornings. Coffee on the porch, reminiscing. Remember our first kiss? Jamie asked, hand in Sydney's. Like yesterday. Their love, weathered by storms, shone brighter. A beacon of resilience. The end came gently. Jamie first in her sleep, Sydney by her side. Wait for me, Sydney whispered. Months later, Sydney joined her, Mia finding letters. Our story wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Love deeply, forgive often, dance freely. The legacy endured, scholarships named after them. A biopic capturing the drama, romance, humanity. In the end, it wasn't about athletic stardom or ballet grace, but the courage to choose love, over and over. A tale of shattered dreams rebuilt stronger, reminding all. The heart's path, though winding, leads home.